Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to another episode of Sparklecity Sessions live from the Artist Collective here in downtown Spartanburg, South Carolina. I'm your host, Mark Rocco Dawson, and we're with Thomas Koenig and
Bailey.
what's yours? Bailey Bailey?
Just Bailey.
All right.
All right.
Cool.
I mean, it is, but I just kept my Bailey.
So I know this is a special circumstance here today, Thomas. So inform us on what's happening here today.
All right. Normally, we invite an artist to talk about their work. Bailey is here today to talk about the work of a good friend of ours and an artist that was here in Spartanburg. And his name is Bob Logrippo. Unfortunately, we lost him in 21. But the reason why we're doing this is because he's going to have a retrospective show here at the Artists Collective Spartanburg. And as you can see, we're not this time in the Goat Gallery.
Nope.
We are in the venue in the Solomon Gallery that will be filled with Bob's work starting Tuesday next week. And I would start with Bailey. Tell us a little bit how you know Bob.
Well, I've known Bob for a long time. I used to be the assistant director for the colors program in the old building over on Spring Street for the Spartanburg Art Museum. And me and Bob got to be buds, and Bob came up and saw my work, and he just like, I didn't know you did sculpture. Are you interested in teaching sculpture? And I was like, sure. So I started teaching sculpture, and as he got to know me better, he's like, oh, well, I didn't know you could draw. Do you want to teach drawing? And I'm like, sure, I'll teach drawing. And then he's like, well, can you do pottery? I was like, yeah. So I started doing pottery, and then he asked me to teach calligraphy and then figure drawing, and it just went on. And then finally he said, this can't be the Bailey School of Art. I said, well, in case you don't realize, you're the director, and you're the one who's made this the Bailey School of Art.
And guess what? And then he came up with the idea to have a photographer teach in that program. And guess who that was?
I'm glad it wasn't me. Thank God you're here.
Thank you. So, just to give you a little bit of a background, Bob was an illustrator, a national known illustrator. He's a native New Yorker and has appeared in the New York Times, Sunday Magazine, Reader's Digest, Six Flags Amusement Parks posters, and Celestial Season tea boxes. His illustrations got on the tea boxes, and he had a very unique style for painting, and maybe you can give us a little bit of a input there.
Bob considered himself a folk painter. We did, and we thought it was great, Where's Waldo type stuff. In fact, he did puzzles that they had manufactured in Japan, probably 10 of them, maybe more. You'd have to ask Karen, but I've got at least 3 of them at my house. And the fun thing was we always liked to look for all the little pictures. He's got all these little people, and we always looked for the little naked person because Bob always put a little naked person in every picture he did. And one thing I really loved about Bob's work is he layered glazes, and that's how he got that depth in the background. Your sky would be kind of hazy. You're like, how'd you do that, Bob? He's like, well, I added just a little bit of white and gouache to the background, and I coated it. And then he'd put a little bit of clouds in, and then do a glaze, and then a little more clouds, a little glaze. And with everything he did to it, he added glaze, and that gave it that depth that all of his pictures had.
Gave it like a 3D view.
Yeah.
3D kind of thing going on there.
He was for sure not a photorealistic painter.
No, he wasn't.
He had his own way of portraying towns, locations that are in real existence. But in a lot of his paintings, you still find monsters, dragons, whales, fantastical cities, I would call it, and village-scapes that often were Bob's creations from drawing from different sources. He as far as I understand, drew a lot of his cues from the works of Bruegel and Bosch.
He also went to school with Stan Lee.
Stan-
How impressive is that?
That's for sure
Wow.
something. Yeah.
How old was Bob?
I don't
Bob,
know.
Bob was born in 47, and he.
Because Stan Lee was old as
I
hell.
know Stan Lee was considerably older
lost,
than Bob.
We lost Bob in 21. Yes, I got to meet him. He gave me my first educational job here in Spartanburg, teaching photography at the old art center, which is a whole story in itself.
That's for sure.
Where it was located, and
It was an old school, right?
as far as I know, it is
It's a charter school now.
a charter school
Oh, they
now.
turned it back into one.
So turned it back into a school, and I know at some point that school even hosted the Daniel Morgan statue for a while they were doing the first renovation of the Morgan Square
And the bell.
and the bell. Yeah. So, give us a little more input on how was it working with Bob and.
Bob was, it was aggravating, but it was funny aggravating because we judged the National Scholastic Arts contest every year for at least 9 years, maybe 10. And our tastes were so different that he'd go, I really love this piece. And I go, Bob, that looks like crap. And Bob said, well, what do you like? And I go, this is nice. And he goes, it's got no composition. How do you judge art shows? And we just bicker back and forth like old people. It was hilarious. But we always came out at the end with winners, and it worked. It worked. So
Now, Bailey, you're also a musician, right?
Mhm.
And you've been on the music scene here in Spartanburg for how long?
oh, geez, from the time I was probably 18 to 30 something,
Well,
But-
you're still playing music today, though, right?
a little bit here and there when I get a chance. But
Mainly sculpture.
well, it's got murals. I guess I do more murals than anything.
So you go you go cross genres. Then you'll do.
I'm
paint.
supposed to be a sculptor by trade,
Yeah.
but I fell into that. I took a sculpture class in college because I had a crush on the pottery teacher.
There you go.
I didn't know I could sculpt, but apparently it's mindless and I can do that, but it's not very lucrative. So
And
then
when,
I became a painter, and here I am.
and when did you meet Bob?
Oh, geez, 90. Gee, I think I actually took classes at the art school before I started teaching there. So I did colors in 98 or 9. So we probably met him in 96, 95 maybe.
That's a long time ago.
Yeah, we were pretty tight.
Yeah, I was on the music scene by 88, 87. A buddy of mine landed the gig as rhythm guitar player for Riff Raff. So I was around all that stuff. I probably met you a couple times and just don't remember.
Well, I had bleached blonde hair down to here, and I was considerably thinner
And
and a lot prettier.
so but you've always been involved in art, though, right?
Yes.
All through grammar school and high school and all that.
Mhm.
And then when you met Bob, did Bob's way of doing art kind of like guide your way of doing art?
We discussed art a lot, but we had a very different approach. I was raised by the masters. He wasn't. My mentor was Thomas Parham, who just drove masters, and all I painted was that for 4 years before I ever branched out onto my own thing.
Okay.
So I learned it from the old school, and then I went wild.
Okay. But was Bob the catalyst for that, or were you on your way there?
Bob was instrumental, very instrumental in my career. As far as influence goes, I always loved his pictures, and like I said, we argued more than we got along as far as art went. But Bob is pretty, like I said, he offered me, once he saw I could do something, and Bob didn't just say, let's fill this space because he knows kind of what he's doing. If you didn't know what you were doing, Bob was true to his job. He wanted to make sure that, his name was on that art school. And
Yeah.
Bob wasn't going to roll in here and let you, come in here and make puppets out of
Yeah.
paper bags.
Yeah, you're not going to besmirch what's going on
Right.
in the building. Yeah.
And he's, like I said, he had a reputation to uphold him. When he saw that I could do everything, he'd hire me to do everything.
Yeah.
And I did, and it just kind of grew into a gigantic tree. So, Bob was definitely instrumental in my life.
And talking about his reputation, I mean, he had a reputation to uphold. He had prizes, awards from the Society of Publication Designers, the Society of Illustrators, Society of Illustrators, and citations of merits from uh, print annual certificates. He had a big influence, as far as I understand, in illustrating for books, in their particular for children's books, that has its own set of rules that have to be upheld so that it is appropriate for children, and at the same time brings clearly across the message.
Yeah, no naked ladies in the children's books.
Definitely
I
not.
didn't see the children's book, so I can't witness that. So.
Well, I want to mention a couple of them. He illustrated a lot for the works of Hans Christian Andersen, and he did calendar projects. He even did packages for Avon makeup. So that's a really big level on how he made it possible to really translate his own style into all these different purposes, and he did a lot of commissions, as far as I understood, that you can only get if somebody if you're known for your style and you're true to your style. And as far as I remember his work, and I'm so excited for what's coming here starting Tuesday. It's worth just looking at it and diving right into it. I can only say, if you're coming here to see Bob's show, please take some time. Don't rush it. Don't go and just try to bruise through here in 20 minutes or so. Take your time, go through it. It's for sure worth your while.
So I've got a question real fast. So does anybody know where Bob got his education from?
At one point, I could have told you. I mean, I really didn't know where he went to school because we discussed it, but I can't remember. Karen would be your go-to for that. Because I'm still friends with his wife, and we still stay in touch. I'm friends with the kids also. So, like I said, we were pretty tight.
So, ladies and gentlemen, we are in the exhibition room here at the Artists Collective. This is where the exhibition will be held.
And this is the big one. This is the venue. This is the Solomon Gallery. So this is what, when you're looking back at the history of this building as a church, was the sanctuary, and so this is for big shows, and this will be a big show. It will be on for 2 months. We're going to have receptions, and we're going to have Bob's wife coming too, and it is one of the 3 galleries that we have at the Artist Collective. And when I'm in this case, when we're talking about next Tuesday, we're talking about the first Tuesday in January, and in 26 that we're opening this up. The curator, Scott Cunningham, is going to be in here working hard all weekend, doing his part on getting everything hung, everything lighted right, and so that's important to know. Going back to Bob's story. I said at the beginning that he's a New Yorker, but he's been here quite a long time. And he's been a remote artist that he wasn't in New York anymore to do his work. That used to be a quite a common thing that illustrators would actually sit in studios in New York, getting their assignment and then turning out their work, and then go back to where they live. But Bob was fairly early on able to do this from down here in South Carolina and still keep up his clients and his agencies in New York.
Yeah, the galleries let him. I mean, he was such a big draw. The galleries didn't mind. They said, as long as you're producing for us, they would call him and say, hey, we got a client that wants this, this, and this, and this. And Bob would say, okay, no problem. And he would do it. And the galleries were fine because he was in several other galleries while he was here working. Because I remember he would work on a piece and then he'd mail it to Gallery X for, client X.
So I take it he was a prolific artist. He would he's probably got hundreds of pieces out there.
And if you've looked at his work, you're going,
I mean,
how are you prolific when you can do this micro machine work?
Yeah.
Because these people are, they're half an inch tall, eighth of an inch tall, and the houses are an inch by an inch, and there's 5,000 houses in the picture.
So you remember the art gallery over on 295? It's like a frame shop too and all that stuff. Yep. Did you guys have anything hanging up in there or selling in there?
That place it just never, it never quite went anywhere, and it's still some sort of art entity, but I'm not sure what they do either because I don't know anybody who's affiliated with it. Which is
Bob had an excellent exhibit here right across the street where Ed Emery had his shop.
Carolina Gallery.
And the Carolina Gallery. And in there he had quite a bit of work. If Bailey talks about hundreds and hundreds of pieces of work, they're just for this show now, the family draws from a collection that still is in one piece of hundreds and hundreds of Bob's work. He also had work in well-known international collections, the Bacardi Rum private collection, the Exxon Corporation private collection, the Louisiana Pacific private collection. He got works in U.S. embassies had them in Czechoslovakia and Romania.
So let me ask you a question. Now his exhibit's going to be here, but is anything for sale?
As far as I understood, most of it will be for sale, yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, if you'd like a world-renowned illustrator or some of his work, you need to get down here to the Artist Collective and find you something you like. Bailey, where can people get some of your stuff?
My work's everywhere, and I'm very accessible. BaileyStudios.com. You can find everything you need to know for right there, or you can find me on Facebook.
When is this exhibit going to be again?
The exhibit's going to start on Tuesday, I believe it's the 5th of January, and it's going to run through January and February.
Wow, it's a long exhibit.
Yes, and it's worth it. And again, I said it before, you need to take some time to do this. You need to take some time to really take his work in.
Because you might not get another chance.
That is the big issue that is there. You might not get another chance to do to see it. A big collection like that of his work as it is.
So
yes.
Bailey, have you any interesting stories about Bob that you can relay to us?
Not that I can relate to you.
Well, it is a family podcast, but you can get a little.
I could throw a little funny thing in here.
Do it.
Bob's office was in the pottery studio in the old building, and in the old building, the pottery studio was the kitchen, the previous kitchen from it being a school. Well, Bob's office itself sat back in a glassed-in corner in that room. And Bob was a cigarette smoker. Well, and nobody else really liked him smoking, but he'd sit in his office and smoke cigarettes. But his saving grace was The kiln was also in there, so there was a big fan above the kiln to suck the air out. So Bob had opened his door and blow the smoke over to the kiln fan, and nobody knew he was in there smoking.
Well, while I was working for Bob and later on, Bob had a niche for really get you as an artist to talk about your stuff, and he would listen, but he would tell you if he wouldn't agree with something or if he had a totally different view of something. So he was clearly a mentor. He was a mentor for me, and at a time where I was fairly new to Spartanburg. I came all the way from Germany, but had a totally different view on photography and on the art scene. And at a time where Spartanburg was trying to find its own place with art too, Bob clearly had a vision to bring talent in to teach students and make this art scene bigger. That's for sure. Yes.
He did a fantastic job running the art school. I mean, he grew that art school from what it was into us moving into the Chapman Center.
Yeah.
Because when we moved over there in 2007, Bob was still with us. He left and he came back, and then eventually, life happens and he left and didn't come back. But
Now, the Chapman Center has been around how long?
2007
is when we opened the new building.
Okay. And where were you guys before? Oh, you were in the old art.
Spring Street.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, the old one. Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, they for the opening they went all out. They had a youth philharmonics orchestra coming all the way from Augsburg in Germany. They came here with 40 students, and during the process of the opening, and I got to talk to Bob quite frequently, and later on, I actually made it a point to once in a while just show up, even that I had not much to do anymore with the Chapman Center and the art school, but to just show up and catch Bob on one of his smoke breaks outside and just sit on the stones and talk art and talk
For hours.
For hours about what's new, what's different, and how it relates to what we have here and what's otherwise in the world. I can say is like if you ever come across one of his tea boxes, it's worth keeping. I think it's worth keeping. They're very whimsical, and but they have their own little charm. And he did those, as far as I understand, for quite a while. And I would consider them collectibles. Yes.
For sure.
Well, here's a tidbit of information. It's unrelated to anything. But MTV just shut down all their music stations on New Year's, right?
Yes.
And
finally.
Yeah, well, it was no music left anyway. It was all
Right.
like reality shows. But they played the very first video as the very last video that they played.
As they should. Video killed the radio
Yeah,
star.
yeah.
But did they have Adam Ant host it like he brought it in?
Adam Ant's got I heard he had mental issues. So I don't know if
Well, he was the first VJ. He introduced that song because I sat on the sofa and watched the premiere of MTV.
And I guess I bring that up because when we lose people who are really influential in lives, because MTV was influential.
It changed all of us.
Yeah, I mean, you could finally watch your favorite artists do silly stuff in videos and catch new stuff. And what I'm getting at is, it seems that Bob was very prolific and very well liked and very well known in what he did. And when something goes away like that, it's hard to put another thing in its place. Is there anyone that's kind of close to what he does now? Or is his just straight up unique? And
whoever does Where's Waldo is probably the closest his art I've ever seen.
Okay.
It's in the same genre for sure. I don't know if it's the same skill level, same talent, but it's definitely the same genre.
Now, did he do landscapes or anything like that?
Yeah, the majority of what he did was
that's right. You told me.
cityscapes.
Yeah, that's what you told me, yeah.
Cityscapes and
Oceans.
my favorite piece is he has this gorgeous piece of children riding a dragon, which tells you his other side, that he created these worlds that sometimes were fantastical, and sometimes they were close to that you could see, yeah, this is probably up in Maine, or where you can see little lobster boats in the water and stuff like that.
So he traveled all over the nation to do art and stuff like that.
He traveled, and he used reference pictures. Yes, it's
Okay.
since he was working and creating these worlds that did not have to be photorealistic. That gave him the opportunity to pick a building out of maybe New York and a building out of Chicago if he wanted to, but he was true to portray these specifically little seaside towns and stuff like that very realistically when it comes to uh, how dense a smaller town can be, and still have people doing everything they do on a daily basis. And that's what he would put in his pictures. It would be tons and tons of little people doing
Little things.
daily
Always
things.
looking for charm is what I would say.
Yes.
Ladies and gentlemen, you're listening to the Sparklecity Sessions podcast here at the Artists Collective. We've got time for maybe 2 or 3 more questions, I think.
I can refer back, which was an afterthought when you asked about my work. I have an exhibit here in April.
Okay.
And right now it's planned to have it. I've asked a friend of mine, Chris Inman, who does a very unique style of art, to do the show with me. So it'll be a very mixed, my work and his work are night and day. So it should be a very interesting exhibit.
I can attest to that. It would really be something completely different between the two of them, and I'm very curious and interested in seeing what comes out of it.
It's the same subject matter, though. So that's going to be interesting.
I love Chris' work too, and I'm a big fan of Chris's work.
Me too.
He has his very unique style of portraying things and people.
I can't do it.
And he also sometimes draws into art that he finds, or old paintings that he's reusing and adding to it. And but I'm very curious about the show, and it's going to be interesting. But maybe we can get Chris, and I'm saying that as a shout out right now, is to get Chris for the next season of the podcast, since we're heading towards the end of the 8th season.
And this is episode 98. We've got 2 more, and the season will be over. And we've got a big show here at the Collective on the 24th.
For the 100th.
For the 100th, we'll be interviewing Gregory Hodges and Shane Pruitt, and then they will be getting together with the Huggy Bears, which is, I think, Dave Cannon, and I don't know who they got for drums, but it'll be a full band set with both of them.
You can't go wrong with Shane Pruitt.
Gregory's all right, too. He's a pretty good guy, and he's a great guitar player.
I know Gregory. He was the second person that I met in Spartanburg when I started coming here, and he's a very good friend, and them both together are worth seeing, and we got tickets left that you can buy here at the Artist Collective
or BJ Music. BJ Music.
Or at BJ Music. If you see us coming somewhere to the New Way or so, either Mark, me, or Paul, please ask us. Tickets here, tickets at BJ Music.
Yeah.
Bob's show is, you don't see anything now, but believe this big room being filled with some of the most interesting art and different art you've probably ever seen. And it's fun. Bring the kids and Bailey, do you want to add something to that?
Yeah, let them know where you can get your stuff again, Bailey, and tell them about your show up here again.
My exhibit here is in April. We'll have a reception on Art Walk that month, and it's called Once Upon a Time, and it's creepy storybook characters.
That's cool.
If you're looking for my work, I'm in the Oberring Gallery up in Tryon. I also have work in Carrie Bass Photography Gallery in Tryon, and Tryon Painters and Sculptors Gallery in Tryon, of course. Several restaurants in Spartanburg, Vitello's. The work in Vitello's is mine. I've got work all over town. Just right around town, you can see it everywhere.
Ladies and gentlemen, you've been listening to the Sparkle City Sessions podcast here with your hosts, Mark Rocco Dawson and Thomas Koenig. And our guest today was Bailey, talking about who again?
Mr. Bob Logrippo.
And his
retrospective
will be up here Tuesday of this month, all the way into February.
Until the end of February.
So get up here and do it.
And if you look him up, also look under Robert Logrippo, because when he was in galleries, that's how he was referred to.
All right. And ladies and gentlemen, we'll see you on the flip-flop.
Thank you very much, Bailey.
Yes, sir.